Okay, so we're continuing. Just go back. The main topic is revisiting virtually what last year's yatra visiting Haridwar, Rishikesh, and Badrinath was. And because there were people that couldn't attend, the thought was to have it here virtually, and that's what we're doing. And where we started, the first evening, was introduction to Haridwara, the gateway to the spiritual world, Hari's abode, Haridham, the spiritual world, Vaikuntha. And, then other topics in relation to visiting Haridham or visiting Haridwar, etc., etc., etc. So, essential in the whole visit to Haridwar and this whole area is the Ganges. Very similar, different, but similar to Navadvip, the appearance place of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or Mayapur. And Ganges is so significant. So naturally we've spoken something about Lord Chaitanya, but now the focus is just specific Mother Ganges. And this is one of the tourist spots, as you can see, protruding into the Ganges. The Ganges look like a swimming pool. Chlorinated swimming pool, blue pool, but it's it's a nice color. And many of you know of all the history that we'll be relating, but the origin of the Ganges is this nice image of Lord Vamanadev requesting 3 steps of land from Bali Maharaj. And with the second step, he poked his toe through the covering of the universe. And when he poked his toe through the covering of the universe, what was on the other side of the universe came into the universe. It was a lila for bringing the celestial waters, the transcendental waters of beyond the material universe into this universe for purification of the universe. And as it entered into the universe, it washed his toes. And by the cleansing of the lotus feet of Lord Vamanadev, everything became cleansed, and you see there's Ganga Devi descending into this universe. So Patita Pavana, the deliverer of all sinful living beings. There's some interesting details, many interesting details. And I asked Nilamadava to be present to sing this one stanza, and I think it's best to just sing the stanza twice so we can immerse ourselves in that sound vibration. Jayadev Goswami wrote songs, and one of the songs was the main Leela avatars, and one of the main Leela avatars is Vamanadev. So this is his song. You the microphone stand, very good.
Chalayasi vikramane balimadbhutavamana padanaka nirajanita janapavana keshavadrita vamanarupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Chalayasi vikramane balimadbhutavamana Padanakilira janita janapavana Keshavadrita Vamanarupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Chalayasi vikramane balimadbhutavamana Padanaka janita janapavana Keshavadita Vamanarupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare
Chalalas vikramane adbhutavamana It almost like doesn't seem right to not sing Hare Krishna after. But this is one of the longer presentations, and there's lots of stories to tell, and no Hare Krishna Kirtan following that nice song. So here's the translation. Jayadev Goswami sings, "All glories to Lord Keshava, who assumed the form of a dwarf. O Lord of the universe, who take away everything inauspicious for the devotees. Oh, wonderful Vamanadev, you tricked the great demon Bali Maharaj by your steps. The water that touched the nails of your lotus feet, when you pierced through the covering of the universe, purifies all living entities in the form of the river Ganges." Purifying just to hear the song, what to speak of everything else, bathing in the Ganges and pilgrims going by the thousands and thousands for that purification. Here's another map depicting the descent of the Ganges, and we'll start at the upper right side, like 1 o'clock, on this circle. That's the covering universe, is the circle, 7 layers. And he has the sharp nails of his toe. He pierced through the layers. I mean, the layers themselves are really thick, but he did it. And as the water came through, it descended to Satyaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, but you see that it looks like a fish. It's the Sumeru. It's what's that? The dolphin? What? Sisumara. So the Ganges descended, skipping the upper planetary systems, coming down on top of Mount Meru. and then distributing itself in 4 tributaries from Mount Meru and down and down and down. If you have a magnifying glass, you could read these small letters. But the purpose of all of this, the purpose of all of this was to bring the Ganges down to Atala Loka, which is it's the wrong one. Did you look on the desk? Oh well. Distance reading. This may do it. Oh. When you get older, not like I wish you not to get older, but it's going to happen, so no point in making such a wish. When I needed glasses, it wasn't a problem. But when they said you need reading glasses too, you got to get bifocals. I said, I'm not getting bifocals. So I have to keep switching from reading glasses to... Sorry. So, as you can see on the right side, maybe the letters are big enough, you can see this little red arrow, and there's Kapila, because the lower planet, where the ashes of the 60,000 sons of Sagara were, a big pile of ashes, was in the ashram of Kapila. And they got incinerated when they came to attack. He's the thief of our father's horse, sacrificial horse. Kill him. There's some versions that say Kapila, from his eyes, fire came and burned them all. That's not correct. At least the Acharyas say that's not correct. What's correct is because they were attempting to harm, to kill an incarnation of the personality of Godhead, their bodies burst into flames. Net result, pile of ashes. We'll hear the whole story. But so the purpose of the descent of the Ganges into this realm was to liberate the souls of the descendants of Sagara, the sons of Sagara, so they didn't have to hang out in the hellish region for dying in that sinful state of attempting to kill an incarnation of the Supreme Lord. So in this is one of the many charts of the 14 planetary systems. You have to count. There's 7 lower and 7 upper. That makes 14. And Bhuvar Swargaloka up to heaven, that's 3. Then you see those plates above the 3. That's 4 plates, or Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Brahmaloka. And notice that right at the very top of Brahmaloka, there's Lord Brahma. But below those 4, starting with Maharloka and up, there's this cloudy region, and at the top of that cloudy region, that's Mount Sumeru. And there's a place where the Ganges flows down to this top part of Mount Meru, or Sumeru, and the Ganges then breaks into 4, going in 4 directions, and then flows down and down and down, and it keeps going down and down and down until it comes to the earthly region, and then down through the earthly. So a descendant, Bhagirata, had to lead, we'll see some nice paintings and descriptions and so forth, the flow of the Ganges, because from time to time there was some difficulty. Welcome to the material world, there's difficulty. And he had to deal with the difficulty and brought the Ganges down to the very, very bottom. And just by touching the ashes, the souls that were in suspended animation, were released from the actions of the sins of attempting to kill Kapila-Dev. Kapila-Dev said there's nothing that can be done other than cleanse the ashes of your ancestors with water of the Ganges. So Ganges has purifying effect. Here's another nice map. This shows the four. When it hits the top of Meru, there's another place where Brahma stays. It's called Brahmapuri. So he has multiple places where he stays. And Brahmapuri is one. And then there's geographic locations at the top of Brahmapuri. Brahma is at the center, and then other places. And then the Ganges split into four, coming down. So you can see at the bottom, 4 branches. Sita, Alakananda, Chakshu, and Bhadra. And then down and down and down to the ocean of salt water, because, from the Himalayas, because the Ganges flows from the Himalayas through Bharatvarsha, to this earthly plane, and then into the salt ocean. But the salt ocean, they had to keep going to get down to the lower planetary regions, the 7, where the ashes of the Sagara's sons were. But we hear the whole history, if you like history. It's from Srimad Bhagavatam. As with many rivers or many places, there's different names by which they're known. And here's some of them. Vishnu Padi, because the Ganges washes the lotus feet or padas of the Supreme Lord. Vishnu Padi. Or Mandakini, it flows in the higher planetary systems. Bhogavati, it flows in the lower planetary systems. Bhagi Rati, brought down by Bhagirata. And you notice a painting on the left, or image on the right, that's Janu Muni, or Janu Rishi. And one time, he was by the side of the Ganges and was chanting his Gayatri mantra. And along came some waves from the Ganges, and it swept away his Achman cup while he was chanting Gayatri. So, he stopped chanting Gayatri, and he cupped his hands and drank the entire Ganges. And so Bhagirata was in a fix, what to do. The Ganges has to go down to liberate or free my ancestors from their sinful reactions. So he worshipped Janu Muni for days. Janu Muni took a passion. What is it you want? Can you please return the Ganges? So it doesn't say exactly how he did it, but he returned the Ganges, and the Ganges continued, and Bhagirata continued down. So therefore, one of the names of the Ganges is Janavi, as in relation to Janu Muni and his pastime. Tripada Sambhava, coming down from the lotus feet of Vamanadev, because he had 3 feet, or 3 steps of land. So, Tripada, Sambhava. And Finally, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, there's mention of 5 celestial rivers. Ganges, or Ganga, is one. Yamuna, Narmada, Kaveri, and Krishna makes 5 celestial rivers mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, much of this whole time is going to be photographs and just narrating something. That's why it's going to take a long time. Whoops. Here's one situation. Dhruva, as you know, he's in Dhruvaloka, or the uppermost planet, spiritual planet within this universe. He sits on top of his own planet every day. To this day, he accepts water from the Ganges on his head with great devotion. Not only he, but our friends, the Saptarishis. We had a whole class discussing the Saptarishis from the 5th canto. The 7 great sages keep Ganges water on the tufts of their hair, on their heads. They have concluded that this is the ultimate wealth, the perfection of all austerities, and the best means of prosecuting transcendental life. So they like the Ganges also. Here's another drawing. There's these inverted cone Mount Meru, and on top is Brahmapuri, and that's where the Ganges came and then fell in 4 directions, and one of those directions is our direction, so that is the Himalaya mountains. It's details, but the description of Jambu Dweep, the central plain that you see in below at the bottom of Jambu Dweep, bottom of Mount Meru, there's different mountain ranges and valleys in between those mountain ranges. And Bharat Varsha, where we are, is on the lower side of the Himalaya mountains. I mean, that's our experience, but it's also the 5th canto Bhagavatam description. And there's further detail on the right, which I think I'm going to skip, because they give lots of numbers of how tall Mount Meru is and what's the diameter of the surface of Jambudweep, and there's lots of interesting details. In Valmiki Ramayana, there's a detailed description of Vishvamitra Muni describing the history of the descent of the Ganges. And he's describing it to, now at this stage, it's 12-year-old Lord Ramachandra. And here's some of the details of Bhagirathas bringing the Ganges to earth. So the story starts with a problem. The problem was Sagara was being guided by Brahmanas to create auspiciousness for his whole kingdom, and that auspiciousness included performing some number of Ashvamedha yagyas. And when the number started getting big and big and big, and Indra got nervous, maybe he wants to take over my kingdom. So he came and stole the horse. And when he stole the horse, he also knew, I'm going to get it if I get caught with the horse. So he hid the horse. And guess where he hid the horse? In the ashram of Lord Kapila. All the way down to Atala-loka. And when the sons of Sagara were sent by Sagara to find the horse, they searched and they searched and they searched, and somehow they made their way to Atala-loka, and they saw the horse. And they thought, aha, the thief. So with weapons, 60,000 men went to attack the thief. And the thief just looked at them and they burst into flames, and there you see the pile of ashes. The 60,000 sons of Sagara. And there's the horse. And there's kind of skinny Kapila with a big beard. Not the normal way he's depicted, but this artist depicted him that way. And So Sagar, when his sons didn't come back with a horse, he became a little worried about his sons. So he sent some descendant, Ansuman, to search. Ansuman found the ashes and found the horse. And he was respectful rather than confrontational with Kapila. And in the course of discussion, he was given the opportunity to purify the souls of his ancestor who tried to attack and had planned to kill Lord Kapila. So how the souls can be relieved of that sin, Kapila explained only one thing. Ganges has to come and wash their ashes. Good luck. There's no Ganga anywhere. So he went and traveled, and eventually he was unsuccessful. His sons of Dilipa were unsuccessful, but Bhagirath was successful in propitiating, begging, performing austerities for the benefit of Mother Ganga, requesting, please descend and purify, because Kapila said this is the only system that's going to work. And Ganga said, okay, but here's my two concerns. One, when I descend, sinful people are going to take bath in my waters and deposit all their sinful reactions, and I don't want to bear all those sinful reactions. Second, when I fall, if I do what you're asking me to do, the Earth planet isn't going to be able to bear the descent of my waters. So what to do about those two problems? Probably everyone here knows these two problems, so Bhagirath had an answer for both. One is, Lord Shiva, he's very merciful. I'll ask Lord Shiva if he can bear the Ganges, the descent of the Ganges, somehow. And as far as the sins, there are saintly people as well as sinful people, and the saintly people, when they take bath in the Ganges, they'll purify the Ganges by their presence. And this was one of those descriptions about Tamal Krishna Goswami comparing Lord Shiva and bearing the descent of the Ganges, and Srila Prabhupada being one of the saintly persons that would purify the Ganges by taking bath in the Ganges. So Ganga agreed, and he then went to Lord Shiva, who agreed, and the Ganges is ready to descend. But the Ganges descending isn't just like a trickle, it's major. And to bear the weight and the downpour of the water of the Ganges, Lord Shiva was ready. And so down comes the Ganges, and there's Lord Shiva was able to sustain the Ganges. Here's different paintings of the same principle. This is a very old painting, and the Ganges is descending. Here the Ganges again descending, and down comes the Ganges. And there's many obstacles, without listing them. Some of them are identified. As he was traveling, this is showing he's blowing a conch shell. You can see there's people bathing along the shore of the Ganges, and there's Mother Ganga riding her crocodile, heading towards the direction that Bhagirath was leading her. Bhagirath had a chariot. Sometimes it shows the chariot, sometimes it doesn't. And as he drove the chariot in front, Ganga followed right behind, and the plan was to bring the Ganga to the ashes of his ancestors or forefathers. So here it doesn't show his chariot, but he's got his nice conch shell. And when they reached Atala, then the water of the Ganges was sprinkled on the ashes of his ancestors, and immediately they were released from the sins. Simply by having the water from the Ganges come in contact with the ashes of their burned bodies, the sons of Sagara were elevated to the heavenly planets. Pretty powerful. So that's the descent of the Ganges history, told in, by Valmiki, told by many authorities. It's a standard description. There's not too much variation. There's some details, but not much variation. Another outstanding feature of Ganges is she was the mother of Bhishma Dev. And that's all described very elaborately in a number of places, but one day, many things. Santanu became very attracted to Ganga, wanted to marry Ganga. She appeared in this earthly realm. There's details of why she appeared in the earthly realm in this female form. And she agreed to be his wife on the condition that you would never say anything objectionable to me. How'd you like, ladies, how'd you like that? For a marriage promise from your husband. And he said, oh yeah, okay, of course. Anything I do, you can't say, don't do it. Sure. So, 6 sons, and as soon as the 6 sons were born, she threw them in the river. And he was supposed to say nothing. But when it came to Bhishma, he said, stop, too much. She said, you promised not to say anything, I'm leaving, goodbye. So Ganga disappeared, and there's Santanu with a small child. And the small child grew up to be grandfather Bhishma, the long history of how that happened. And Bhishma Dev was a great devotee of Krishna, and that's a long story. But the appearance of Bhishma Dev with Ganga as mother and Santanu as the father. Then another mysterious history, Kunti Devi, when she was a young girl, she was assigned to look after Durvasa Muni when he came to visit the capital. And when she served him so nicely, she was given a benediction by Durvasa Muni that she could call any demigod she wanted and have a child with that demigod. And being a young girl, she was curious, so she called the sun god. And sure enough, this child was born, Karna. And how am I going to explain having a child that I'm not married? So that everyone knows this story. What to do. She finally decided Surya Dev will take care. She put the child in a basket, put the basket in the Ganga, and downstream the basket went. And the basket with a small newborn child in the basket was found by a chariot driver. And so Karna became the son of a chariot driver instead of the son of Suryadev. Was a big difference in Vedic culture. Another history connected with Ganga, Bharadwaj. He's, a very important personality in Vedic culture, but he also became a little overwhelmed when he saw as Gritachi when he was bathing in the Ganges. And, he was a little overwhelmed with lust on seeing this beautiful maiden. And as a result, Dronacharya was their born son, Bharadwaj and Gritachi. a little less dramatic is, but nice, Mrgari the hunter was engaged in hunting animals on the shore or the bank of the Ganges, and Angira Muni, the whole scene, he became freed from that situation. Narada Muni asked him, many things happened. Narada delivered Mrgari from that scene, that being a hunter. And then instead, he became a very gentle Vaishnav, pictured here on the right side. When he saw, Narada came to visit his disciple, and when he came, Mrgari, running from the house, wouldn't step on ants. He was half killing animals, is now unwilling to step on ants. The Ganga has a big role to play in a lot of Puranic history. We heard this, now we're hearing it again. Jamadagni, who was the father of Parshuram, had a wife. And his wife's name was Renuka. And one day, Renuka saw the king of the Gandharvas playing in the Ganga with some ladies. And Renuka became very attracted to the beauty of the Gandharva king. And her husband knew that in her mind, she had been unchaste. We discussed this. Did we discuss this? Yes. So, Ganga played a role in the life of Jamadagni and Parshuram. The Ganga played a role in the cursing of the two sons of Kuvera, Nalakuvara and Manigriva, in a tributary of the Ganges named Mandakini. There's Narada cursing the two sons, drunk, intoxicated, and consorting with unclothed ladies in the sacred river. So he cursed them to take birth as trees and be delivered by Krishna in the trees in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. According to Vallabhacharya, the Ganga has three forms. One is what we all know, that's the water. And there's a second, that's the water creates a holy place of pilgrimage. And this is less known to those who don't have faith, or it's known only to those who have faith and knowledge. And the third is mysterious, a little bit. It's a divine goddess, Ganga, that she's an expansion of the pleasure potency of the Supreme Lord. Interesting. This form is known only to those who love her and see a unity between her water, her holy pilgrimage aspect, and her divine form. Vallabhacharya. There's a number of references where Ganga is referred to by Krishna. Here's a place in Bhagavad Gita. Of purifiers, I am the wind. Of wielders of weapons, I am Rama. Of fishes, I am the shark. And of flowing rivers, I am the Ganges. Bhagavad Gita 10:31. And the Bhagavatam 2:1:1. The topics of Lord Krishna are so auspicious that they purify the speaker, the hearer, and the inquirer. They are compared to the Ganges waters, which flows from the toe of Lord Krishna. When the Ganges waters go, wherever they go, they purify the land and the person who bathes in them. Similarly, Krishna Katha, or the topics of Krishna, are so pure that whenever they are spoken, the place, the hearer, the inquirer the speaker, and all concerned become purified. Nice. Or, from the 11th canto, this is Uddhava Gita section of the Bhagavatam. Among sacred flowing things, I am the holy Ganges, and among steady bodies of water, I am the ocean. Among weapons, I am the bow, and of the wielders of weapons, I am Lord Shiva. And here's a reference from Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srimati Radharani is the Ganges in which the elephant of my mind enjoys pastimes. She is the shining of the full autumn moon for the chakora birds of my eyes. She, Radharani, is the dazzling ornament, the bright, beautiful arrangement of stars on the border of the sky of my chest. And now, today, I have gained Srimati Radharani because of the highly elevated state of mind. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's consciousness and meditation and words are on another platform. Something happened in Krishna's childhood pastimes in Vrindavan. One of those somethings that happened was a demon came in disguise as one of the calves. But Krishna recognized, Balaram, see that? That's not a calf, that's an impostor, that's a demon. So Krishna knew, and at the right time, when the calf was least suspecting, he grabbed the calf, it says here, it shows by the tail, but by his hind legs, twirled him around this way and that way, and killed him, tossed him in a tree. And when he tossed him in the tree, he was accused of having killed a calf or a cow. And Krishna's, same with Vatsasura. He wasn't a bull. It wasn't he was an imposter. Nonetheless, so the arrangement was made that Krishna had to purify himself by taking bath in the Ganges, so he did so just by calling the Ganges. And with his mind, Manasa Ganga filled up, and Krishna took a sacred bath in Manasa Ganga. But that was just a pastime, so he could have other pastimes. He's very clever. So one of the many pastimes was, the boat pastime. The gopis, one of the things they did from time to time, after milking the cows and gathering the milk in clay pots, they would transport the extra milk to the marketplace. So in one situation, they had to cross the Ganga, but there was no boat to carry them across the Ganga. So instead of the one boat that they would normally try to hire, there was this boatman in a rickety old boat, who was Krishna, and he gave them passage. But as he gave them passage, heading across the Manasa Ganga, a big storm came. And when the storm came, there were big waves. And when the big waves came, it was a big mess. So Krishna told them, there's too much weight in this boat. It's starting to sink. You have to throw your dairy products over the side of the boat. No, that's not enough. You have too many valuable ornaments. Throw the valuable ornaments over the side of the boat. No, all your clothes are wet. Throw your clothes over the side of the boat. And the gopis became angry. And they decided to beat him up. So they went to grab him. When they grabbed him, they found his flute. They understood, this wasn't a boatman. This is Krishna playing a trick. So they scolded him. Nauka Keli, boat pastime. Krishna made the storm go away. The boat plied across the other side, and They lived happily ever after. Very near, along the side of this place, Manasaganga, it was one of the residences of Sanatana Goswami, along with a deity of Lord Shiva, Shivalinga. The Ganges was another place that had its great importance. Sukratal is one of the places we're going to visit. It's a must visit when you go to Haridwar. It's a place, it marks a spot where Shukadev Goswami heard or spoke Srimad Bhagavatam to Maharaj Parikshit on the bank of the Ganges. Another nice reference, this is Lord Balaram who took bath in the Ganges at Prayag, because one of the things that Balaram did while the battle of Kurukshetra was going to be soon happening, he didn't want to take part in the battle, and so he went on pilgrimage. And this is one of the places he went. When the Govardhan Leela, it wasn't Indra, but Airavata carried with him in his trunk celestial Ganges water and wanted to bathe Krishna with the celestial Ganges water. So this is the BBT painting. I remember when they were painting this painting. This is a Pushkar painting because you can tell that it's so colorful. So there's Airavata bathing Krishna and Indra looking on, and some Surabhi cows enjoying the fun. In Gora Lila, obviously the Ganges is very, very important. Daru Brahma Rupe. Lord Jagannath is the Supreme Lord himself in the form of wood, and the river Ganges is the Supreme Lord himself in the form of water. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered the two brothers, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Vidyavachaspati, to worship Lord Jagannath and the river Ganges. Of course, Advaitacharya worshipped the Ganges to call Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, calling Krishna to appear along the bank of the Ganges with tulsi, manjaris, and Ganges water. The Supreme Lord heard his loud cries, and he made his appearance on the full moon night. At the time of birth of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, such a lunar eclipse took place, and naturally all people standing in the water, Ganges, were chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And we're about 2/3 finished. There's a lot more slides. Ganges is very central to many things. There's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu half immersed in water like others. Sometimes the Lord would go with other children to the bank of the Ganges, and neighboring girls would also come there to worship various demigods. So when they were worshiping various demigods, the painting showing he snatched the paraphernalia right from under their nose, and they were upset in one sense, but very happy in the other sense, because they were more attracted to Nimai Pandit than to any demigod. Like the residents of Vrindavan, very attracted to Krishna. One time, a wandering debater Pandit, Keshava Kashmiri, came from Kashmir and wanted to engage in discussion and debate. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instead honored Keshava Kashmiri and asked him, "You're such a scholar in Sanskrit. Can you compose a verse spontaneously in glorification of the Ganges? Sure. And the description is, like the blowing of the wind, he not only composed one spontaneous verse, he composed 100 spontaneous verses in glorification of the Ganges, right in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all of his students. You know the story. And so Nimai Pandit said, "Oh, you're such a scholar, super scholar. Could you tell us the qualities and faults of verse number 66? Huh? I just reciting, I don't remember how do you remember? So I know some people are good at reciting and some people are good at remembering. What were the qualities and faults in verse number 66? I don't even remember the verse, but it sounds like you do. Could you say the qualities and faults? And so Keshava Kashmiri was defeated by a young boy because he pointed out the qualities and the faults. You know, this is a very nice quality. This is a fault, and this is a fault, and this is a fault. Faulty composition by a big scholar like you. Shame on you. And he was defeated. Right on the bank of the Ganges. And this is, in a summary way, it's in Chaitanya Charitamrita, but it's also in the introduction to Srimad Bhagavatam. Here's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's acceptance of sannyas. There's Madhu the barber shaving his head, and there's Keshava Kashmiri, not Keshava, his sannyas guru, giving him sannyas, Ekadanda sannyas, and from there he went to Puri. Here's another nice example, and this is a nice example of Raghunath Das Goswami, who wanted and tried this and tried that and tried the other thing to get Lord Chaitanya's association, and everything failed. Finally, he went to Lord Nityananda, "Help, you're his dear brother. If you give the approval, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will give me passage to go to Puri." And Nityananda, in his ideal classic fashion, scolded him and told him, "You have to. You're an offender. You have to feed all the Vaishnavas." That was not a punishment. It was an honor, but he said it as if it's a punishment. So he performed this wonderful thing: chipped rice and yogurt, and condensed milk and yogurt. Condensed milk and chipped rice, and big feast. And the big feast, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. And now Nityananda is giving him blessings to be with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Puri because you've attracted his heart. You've rendered such nice service to his devotees. And surely you'll get his association very soon. So with the blessings of Nityananda, here the Chittadahi festival, celebrated festival in Atlanta, they call their temple the New Panihati Dham. And every year they have the Chittadahi festival. And I don't know if Lord Chaitanya and Balaram appeared, but they have the big, nice festival and drama, I'm sure, as well. Along the bank of the Ganga is where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Rupa Goswami and discussed Krishna Bhakti with Rupa Goswami there, particularly Bhakti Rasa. Kolavechar Sridhar worshipped the Ganges by the bank of the Ganges using plantain leaves and plantain stems and plantain flowers, things that anybody could get anywhere because there's plantain trees, they grow everywhere along this area. So it wasn't really a priceless item. So he wasn't a wealthy man at all, but he maintained himself just so that he could worship the Ganges. And in his nice worship of the Ganges, there's many nice things. Lord Chaitanya would come and tease him. Anyway, along the bank of the Ganges is the main point. And Chota Haridas. You all know does anybody here not know the story of Chota Haridas? There's a few, okay. Chota means short. There's Bada, means big. Haridas Thakur was Bada Hari, just like her kirtan singer, Bada Hari. Then there's Chota Hari Das. So Chota Hari Das was a sannyasi. And as a sannyasi, he wanted to do some service for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he made some arrangement to have some special rice and vegetable preparations made for him for one lunch. And as he was eating, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Who got these ingredients?" Chota Haridas. He said, "Tell that Balya, tell that fallen person, I never want to see him again." And everyone was, "What? What happened?" And he's dilly-dallying with ladies to get the rice. He requested rice from some lady, and according to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's not knowing the details of what the exchange was, said he was, it was lusty, a sannyasi lusting after a woman. I don't want to see his face. Disturbance, people petitioned, he something. So many times Mahaprabhu said, "Look, stop or I'm leaving Puri." They stopped. And when Chota Haridas understood, many people tried, and Mahaprabhu was being unyielding, he decided, what's the use of my life? I'm going to give up my life, go to the Ganges and jump in the Ganges and drown myself in the Ganges. When news of that came to Lord Chaitanya, he said, very good. I mean, for a particular situation, to teach a lesson, very good. That's what happened. That's the Leela, the summary of that Leela of Chota Haridas gave up his life jumping into the Ganges. Almost the opposite, Saranga Thakur Saranga, was by the Ganges taking a bath, and he saw a dead body floating along in the Ganges. So he knew what to do. He cupped his hands, called out the holy name very loudly in the ear of the dead body, and the dead body came back to life again. Miracle, huh? I don't recommend anyone tries that. But that's what Thakur Saranga did. And that person accepted Thakur Saranga as his father because he gave him life. Few more slides and we'll be finishing shortly. The Ganges, this is from Gora Gunadesh Dipika. This is a book that is like a who's who. In Gaura Leela, who is this person in Krishna Leela? The Ganges river, who was born from the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, appeared in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes as Srimati Ganga Devi, the daughter of Lord Nityananda. Her husband, Sri Madhava, had formerly been Maharaj Santanu. Shoo. And here's Srila Prabhupada taking bath in the Ganga. Actually, no one can give anything to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for he is full in everything. Sometimes we see devotees offering Ganges water into the Ganges. We give back to the Supreme that which is already the Supreme. In one of our standard songs in the Hare Krishna movement is this nice song, Janavi Tata Vane Jagamana Lobha. This song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the RT song, our standard RT song. Kiva Jaya Jaya Gora Chandir. You know the song? So this is with Janavi Tata Vane. So it's Lord Chaitanya in Navadvip Dham. In Mayapur, there's a deity of Gora Ganga, Jagat Pavani. Very long name for a deity. Shri Gora Ganga, Jagat Pavani Mandir. So there she is, Ganga Devi. Glories of Ganga Devi, this is just a list, and then we're concluding. Lord Shiva is greatly satisfied when Ganges water is poured upon his head. Anyone who takes his bath in the Ganges is relieved of all material diseases. Bathing in the Ganges and serving a pure Vaishnava are also known as Tadiya Upasanam. This is also Pada Sevanam. So these are of the processes of bhakti. Bathing in the Ganges can certainly cure one of many infectious diseases, but it cannot cleanse one's materially attached mind. Bathing in the Ganges is recommended in all Vedic literature, all Vedic Shastras. And one who takes to this path will certainly be completely freed from all sinful reactions. A reference? One who drinks the water of the Ganges attains salvation. So what to speak of one who drinks the nectar of Bhagavad Gita? And the last but not least slide, there was a historical Supreme Court of India made a judgment, or their High Court, Supreme Court, 2017. There was some issue, I don't know what the issue was, but the outcome of the decision was that both the Ganga and the Jamuna are declared as living entities. So there, says the Supreme Court, or the High Court of India. I don't know what the issue was, but you can, if somebody wants to look it up, you can look it up. So, you know, there's Shastra to say such things, and it's another thing for the India High Court to say such things. Generally, you know, government doesn't mix. But here they did. Mixed with religion and religious conceptions, and it's like now it's law. Well, I knew this class would go longer because there's a lot, and some of the presentation was purposefully a little short because it's the long historical narrations. You could take a whole class just telling one of these stories. Purification comes by taking bath in the Ganges, and purification comes by hearing the glories of the Ganges, just like similarly by worshipping the deity, or by chanting Krishna's holy name, or by hearing Krishna book. In the later session this evening, we're just going to hear some descriptions that are just descriptions from Krishna book, and it's purifying just to hear Krishna book, even sections of Krishna book, even if it's not so easily understood. With faith, then there's certainly experience. It just Prabhupada would point to his Western, Indian, European, American, European disciples and say, before what were they? Dropouts, social dropouts. He didn't use that word. Hippies, addicted to material ignorance and passion. And just by this wonderful process of Krishna Bhakti, they become transformed. That's evidence, standing proof. So let us become other, ongoing into the future proofs of the bhakti process and how purification is effective, but by the very simple activities that we do. One other comment. Many times Prabhupada would say, out of all the people in some locality, how many are here? How many are attending the assembly? Now this Prabhupada speaking he's a pure devotee and a deliverer of fallen souls, but how many are interested? Numerically or percentage-wise, it's a small amount. But the effect is there for those that are eager to hear. With sincerity and purpose, purification comes. Just by being here, just by our being here. Whatever you understand, don't understand. Even if you've heard it 100 times, hear it again and hear it again. That's our practice and procedure. Purification procedure. Elevation of consciousness procedure. It works. Comments or questions? We have 12 minutes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for the class. I have 2 questions, Maharaj. First is, where does Mother Ganges descend from? And the second is, according to the description, I heard that she came down once when Trivikrama or Vaman Dev pierced the coverings of the material universe. And then there was also a description about Bhagirath inviting her to the material world. Did she descend twice?
To answer your questions, I'd have to be a walking encyclopedia. And I'm not. But, where does the Ganges descend from? Descends from what's on the other side of the universe. Where is the universe? What's the water in which the universe, each of the universes floating? The Karna ocean. Yes? That's where the Ganges descends from. You want to pursue it? Okay. And then the second question. Say it again quickly.
I heard 2 narrations, Maharaj.
Oh, did Ganges descend once or twice? That's your question.
Yeah, did she descend twice?
I don't know if Ganges is descending twice. Does anybody in the room, any walking encyclopedia, know the answer to that question?
So the question is, how do I reconcile the 2 pastimes?
How to not reconcile?
Because she already descended when Vaman Dev pierced the ocean. Why did Bhagirath have to go back again? And
no, she entered the universe, but where in the universe did she enter? She's in the universe, but Bhagirath had to bring her down and down and all the way down. So it's only once. He didn't have it, the piercing of the universe reenacted. So then I can hear the wheels turning. Where was the Ganga in between the piercing of the universal shell and when Bhagirath came to get her to descend? that your next question?
No, Maharaj, may I?
Yeah. It's a good question.
So, Vamandev pierced the causal
That's it.
material
Once.
covering. Once.
Not more than once.
Right. And then she descended to the material world.
She descended down into the regions within the universe. Yes.
Yes, please let me finish. So then,
Yeah, you're finished.
yeah, no. Because Lord Shiva is, Shiva's abode is outside the material world, right? So,
No, it's the causal ocean is outside the material universe. Not world, universe.
I mean, Lord Shiva's abode is outside the material,
Lord Shiva's abode is inside the universe.
inside the. But it is,
Kailash.
but it is above Satyaloka, right? Sadasiva Loka is above Satyaloka, because when Vamandev pierced the coverings of the material universe, Lord Brahma washed the feet of Vamandev. But how is she again being caught by or sustained by Lord Shiva on his head?
I don't see a problem. What's the problem? Radha Krishna, do you understand his question?
I believe he understands the descent of Ganga differently. Therefore, there's a conflict. Basically, when Ganga comes into the material universe, she's in the higher regions.
Yes.
And then Bhagirath then brings her down to the lower regions. That's all he need to know.
You know, the question I asked is what I thought he was going to ask.
Where?
That the other question I thought he was going to ask is, okay, my next question is, in between the piercing of the universe and Bhagirath bringing down, where's Ganga? What's the region? And the answer, he already just, it's the upper planetary regions. And where are the upper planetary regions? I suggest you read the description. And, you sort it out to the best of your highly intelligent and analytical brain. The higher planetary regions. And he's bringing the Ganga down from the higher planetary regions. And she was resisting for two reasons. I suggest you read it like a few times. And then you can ask your question again, if you still have a question. Prabhupada said something about Krishna book that I'm repeating to you. If reading Krishna book, you can't understand something, read it again. And he said the same thing about nectar devotion. If you don't understand, read it again. And if you still don't understand, read it again. In other words, it's there. So, I'm baffled by why you're baffled. So you're going to have to sort it out. Someone over here, raise your hand.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, thank you for the class. So when I visited Puri, there's a well. From that well, they use the water to cook everything for Jagannath. So it is said that that water is also associated with Ganga. I heard that. So I wanted to confirm.
I don't know. Okay. I'm not a walking encyclopedia. Is it or is it not?
Yeah, it's the local priest who were giving that tour. So they were mentioning about that. And then those questions come because the way we see Ganga is like a flowing water going through different states and landforms. But that's not what we see when we go to Puri. It's a well, deep well, and they're getting the water out of that and cooking all the vegetables and everything from that water. Even during COVID, it was like nothing happened. So they were still, the process was still on. So it's so pure. So the question comes like, where is this water coming from? And what was its story behind that creation?
There are multiple possibilities. The fact that they accept it in that way must be because the people that worship Jagannath, they're fastidious with scriptural references to do this in this way and that way, and there's probably some scriptural reference behind it. But, what is it? I don't know. And they have faith, and faith is powerful. Faith can, the Ganges water can appear wherever the Ganges water wants to appear, right? And that persons who have faith will say yes, and persons that don't have faith will say, "What are you talking about? Dependent upon faith, where Ganges is going to appear? Come on, what's wrong with you?" So there's probably some scriptural authority behind it, and it's a fact that Ganges can appear wherever Ganges wants to appear. But what that scripture, what that authority is for them to make that statement, I don't know. There's a person who will likely know. I mean, definitively likely know. Madhavananda, who lives in Bhubaneswar, who's into some of the most obscure katha that you makes your head spin. I've been really, pardon me, but I've been really busy. But if somebody, Vangsidhari, you're good at reminding me stuff. After this is over, after the weekend, send me a little note and remind me to write to Madhavananda. This fellow sitting over here, his name is Vangsidhari. You put in writing what you've heard, and I'll take what you've heard and said in an audience, they said they heard this, is what's behind it? Is there scriptural reference? What's the program?
Because that place is not like some king made that temple or something. So, like Mansi Ganga was created because Yashoda wanted.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem.
Yes.
Krishna can manifest the
Yes.
Ganges from his mind, no
Yes.
problem. That's for Manasa Ganga.
Yeah. Yes. So I thought something similar. So yeah.
But yeah, it's too vague. You put it in writing what you heard, and I'll see if Madhavananda knows what you don't know, and what I don't know also. Because you're asking, so it's an important thing to pursue, because it's clear enough what you're asking, but I don't have the answer.
Thank you.
Look at this. The 4 o'clock bell is ringing in 2 minutes. One more question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, very wonderful presentation. I heard Lord Shiva has even moon on his head.
Moon, yes, and Ganges water.
Yeah. So is that moon the same moon that we talked about, Soma?
I would assume so, but I don't know. You ask, my guess is you ask a Shiva Bhakta, and they'll give you, as many people as you ask, you get a different answer. That's my guess.
And
So to say definitively, is it this or is it that or the other 1,600 answers? I don't have an idea. there's probably a predominance, a preponderance of opinion, is that
Okay. And my next,
send your question to Vangsidhari, and again, because Bhubaneswar is just above Puri, and he resides in Bhubaneswar, so he'll know. He'll know whatever the jargon is, whatever the commonly accepted, and some variations on the theme of. I don't know.
yeah, that next question also I had was why he has moon on his head.
Why? Why?
Yeah.
Why not?
I said there is a pastime or anything related to it.
Put it in writing. I'll get to the Madhavananda Uvacha response. And he'll be comprehensive. He'll say, some have this opinion, some have that opinion. He's transparent. That's my experience with him. He doesn't say my way and everybody else is in the ditch. He'll be transparent. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.